not sure if this will work everywhere, but it's worked out really well for me this go round. I have the quail in this masonry tub. I got just a piece of insulation over top of them for right now. This side, so this is wool. So these are just some sweaters that I had. This one's gotten holes in it now, and so it's not one that I use, but I always love saving the wool because I have so many uses for it. I wanted to just demonstrate cleaning this little quail pen. So wool will extinguish if it catches. It won't burn. So that's why I used it around these lamps. So one of them has a ceramic heat bulb in it. This one. And so it does get warm, but it's only 150 watts. So touching it, even though it is off right now. So I have it on a thermostat. These come with my seed mats. Let me see if I can show you that. And I hook it into this electrical strip. I know, you see me. This is the electrical strip that's hooked in, that has the 2 heat lamps plugged into it. Actually 1 heat lamp, and then the seed heat mats. Okay, and then what it happens is you set this thermostat. I got mine at 105. And then it has the little sensor down there. So we'll move right along. That's got just a light bulb to give them light. It's an LED, so it doesn't create any heat. Okay, then I have this wire so that obviously then the bulb can get the heat down through there. So let's start on their little pen and see how it goes. Okay. So I put the heat sensor under the bulb, so hopefully it won't turn on, but it looks like it's going to. Okay. So far you see these chickadees. I had to put the heater inside this bag because they was making a mess. Not the heater, the thermostat. Just give me a couple extra, and then I have a sensor push as well. Give me a couple readings. These are just some petri dishes that I'm trying to keep the food in, but these little turkeys, they boy, they really get it out of there quick. So I use this white piece of paper towel so that their food, I guess they can maybe see it better. Ugh. It looks like they might be wasting a lot. I don't know what that's about. I'm going to change my methods of grind. I'm not going to use the food processor to chop up those little seeds anymore. I'm going to use, so I have a box over somewhere that I've been putting these into. I guess I moved it to the other room because it was, so when this feed gets wet and starts to ferment, that's not good, especially when you can smell those things, because that smell indicates that it's fermenting, or it's an anaerobic condition, or it's releasing the nutrients basically in the form of like a gas, and that's what you don't want. You want to keep things aerobic. Oh, there goes the water spilling. I'm going to go ahead and change this little piece of cardboard. It seemed like it worked better for the little waterers. I also want to change my waterer. I don't like those little bee feeders. They just want to tromp all over in that water. Okay, this is going to be my clean piece that I'm going to put in. Then I also found that it seemed like when they would walk on that, you want a flat surface for that little bee feeder. I hope I don't cool them down too much. We've cleaned it before, but that's not good. But at least this is what I wanted to do, to keep a flat surface on top of these worm castings. And so all I have to do, that's moist under there, so that's why it was starting to do that. So all I have to do is just mix in these castings, because I have never worked with this before, so this is all a learning experience. And so the more times I do it, the better it's going to be. So you can see all this food here. And there's a bunch of little poops here too. So all I'm really going to do is I'm just going to mix these castings up. And I don't know if you can see the two different colors. The darker is a moist, and then the lighter is a dry. So once you combine the two, the dry ones will absorb the moisture from the really moist areas. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to add more worm castings to this so that it's a little deeper, because they're really starting to dig. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to, this end has the heat mat under it. I'm just practicing right now, but you see this is a lot drier over here. It was super wet because I think there was like, oh my gosh, they, I believe, dumped like maybe 2 or 3 of those little feeders full of water. It just wicked out of the feeder, and it soaked these things. So I thought, oh boy, I already had learned to dry these things out. You put those heat mats underneath there, and it just removes that moisture real quick. Okay, so this is a really dry. It's also very warm. Sometimes you'll find them over on this end. And I'm going to put the more moist stuff that they've been in over where that heat mat is. And that's going to dry that more moist stuff that was underneath of there. That's going to dry that out. Now, I'm getting to the bottom layer. I'll tell you that ceramic bulb also helps dry them out. So, what I'm finding here, I'm trying to do is I'm getting to the bottom of this tub, and I've got another one of those pans over there I'm going to grab. I'm going to put that pan down without that castings under it. And what that's going to do is not allow that mold to grow. I think in the future, when I'm really getting good at this, I'll end up putting maybe a heat mat here and a heat mat here. I do have a heat mat large enough to put under the entire thing, which I don't think I want to do, because I think I want to create spots that are warmer and cooler so that they can choose the temperature that they want. I hope you're not getting too cold, little guys. Alright, then that's going. Then the little waterer, I'll probably put 2 waterers in here. One facing this way, and then one facing the other way. But now, all of these little poos are going to be mixed in with this live bedding. So there are microbes in here, and there are small microscopic soil, I guess, insects and things. I'm going to get another scoop. I've preheated these worm castings, and they're dried down, so I mean, everything seems to be absorbing the moisture really well. I think it's really helping that I have the seed mat under there, heating these castings as well. Are you mad? Okay, so I think at this point I'm still going to put the, I want to find a different feed system here. Maybe just a little higher sides to it, because they want to dig in there. I might get a little more castings here in a second. But this section is already cleaned. See how easy it was? And you can clean it with your bare hands. You're still clean. That's kind of cool, I guess. There's no smell. I don't know how many times you'd have to do this before they kind of did end up really creating enough to start the smell. But that's the whole kind of point of having the live bedding there. The biology's there, so as soon as things get in here, it gets broke down quickly. Because these microbes, they are maximum numbers right now, and they this is the casting. So this is the end of the line here. What I'm going to do for these chicks is I'm going to put that food in there. I'm not going to let that, it's not just for the chicks, but it's for the microbes that are in the soil, see? Okay, then it's over here on this side that's drying down. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and push some more over on this side. I'm going to bring it up to about the level of that little pan there. Okay. Oh yes, they'll tramps it all over, but it's dry. Then it'll get more dry. I could maybe try another. Boy, that's kind of deep over here. Well, that's okay. I'm trying different depths as well. And maybe they'll like deeper. I don't know. Okay, I got to get you your little ceramic bulb back because you're probably getting a little cool. I think the older they get, the less susceptible to that cool weather. But you could feel these castings are still very warm. So their feet won't ever be cold. And they will bed right down in them. They love them. They'll dig a little hole and lay down in them warm castings. Okay, so all those wet poops get dried down really fast. And if there is any bad microbes coming out, which shouldn't be because we've inoculated their system on day one, having these castings in here. Okay, that way you don't, that sterile environment gets inoculated with good biology on day one, and therefore the competition is really high for the bad biology. Well, so we go ahead and flood the system with good biology, and then the bad ones won't be able to compete. And that's all. And this pen is clean. It was fun to clean it. Wasn't no problem at all. You wouldn't believe how wonderful it is to run your hands through the worm poop. It's just weird. I can't describe it to you, but once you have worm castings, you will know exactly what I'm talking about. So this little sensor can go here, and that way I'm constantly monitoring their temperature. 86 in here right now. This is going to be called my quail room. Look at the mess I made on my face. It's just worm poop, won't hurt you. Isn't that funny? Oh boy. Alright, now we're going to pick one more of these little bee things. Bee feeder. It's a bird bee feeder. Okay. I'll get their ceramic lamp back up here, and it should be on right now. I don't know, the light's not on, so inside the bucket was warm enough that it decided not to. We put the little sensor in, and I usually put that directly under that bulb, and that way it's going to give us a good, accurate reading. And to about midway, because if they get too cold and they all lay, sometimes it'll keep it running, and it doesn't need to be running if they're bundled up on top of it. It's never gotten too hot thus far. Here's the lamp back on so they can see to eat. This is just the extra insulation over here, but you can see that they just like to run all over. Oh, this is fun with these little guys. All right, now we're going to add the wool back around these lights. What I'm going to do in the future, I have used some of my own wool. So I felted it, and to basically see this huge piece, what I'm going to do is I'll cut a circle, maybe so that it would fit over the lamp somehow with these circles. Now, one thing about the wool you're going to want to know is that I think it's 30% of its weight it will absorb in moisture before it starts to feel wet. So that'll be a lot of moisture that the wool itself, because we're heating from the bottom, that little ecosystem will give off moisture. And so once it rises, we don't want it just sticking to a plastic surface, I guess. We want it getting absorbed by something and then dried off, which I believe these are all I have right now. I wasn't prepared. These are my wool sweaters. I cut a lot of my wool sweaters up to make my sheep jackets one spring when I was lambing a little earlier than what I felt comfortable with, and I made them little shirts. But here now we needed it for our little quail that I didn't know whether they would be warm or not. And like I said, this is an LED light, so it doesn't get very hot. And also wool will extinguish, and so it's not much of a fire hazard. It will put the fire out. Hopefully I won't burn my house down. Oh, because we're in the basement here to keep them warm. I was a little afraid to do any hatching outside. Here it's December, central US, so it's cold. It's been really cold. Oh, my next move on grinding my feed, because I wasn't too happy with how well the food processor did. I have a Country Living mill, wheat, you know, grain mill, and it's hand cranked, but I think that will give me a really fine, I mean, it will grind up fine enough for powdered sugar. So it'll grind that meat bird, wild game bird food up really fine, and those larger pieces won't be wasted. They're not technically going to be wasted anyway, because it's going right back into my substrate, which is my vermicastings, and I can always sift those again, and it will screen out that stuff, but that will also feed the biology in the substrate and keep it alive and healthy, so nothing's wasted. And then I can either, I mean, I'm just going to keep using this substrate. I don't plan on it ever getting overwhelmed, but if it does, then what I'm going to do is I'll run it through my sifter. You can do some Googling on, you know, vermicasting trommel or sifter, and it will teach you some ways to make a sifter so you can resift your substrate and use it again and again and again. So that will help cut your costs, hopefully, on the quail industry side of things. Anyway, that's I think all I have to say. I usually have a lot to say, but today that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you back in the future. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and give me a thumbs up and let me know how you felt about these new crazy ideas I have.